If you've ever felt completely overwhelmed by portrait photography, or just at a loss of what to focus on to take you to that next level, then come hang with me. I help guide portrait photographers just like you to stay clear and sharp in camera and with your goals. I'm your host, photographer, educator, and weirdly positive mama of four, Emily Supio. And this is the Stay Focused podcast. Photography advice to help you stay focused. Hey you guys, it's Emily Supio, and thank you so much for pressing play on today's episode of the Stay Focused podcast. I love that you want to learn more about photography. I love that you want to feel more confident with your camera. I love that you are here listening, investing in you. And today we are going to talk about those of you who are newer to photography, those beginner photographers out there. And we're going to break down the 4 things that you need to get when you are a beginner, when you are brand new. And I totally get it. I know that there is like a million and one things that are thrown in your face every single day that you feel like you have to get to be successful as a photographer. And I know this because I felt the same exact way when I was first starting. I thought that I needed to get all of these novelty items that were out there, anything that someone posted about in a Facebook group, I thought, oh, that's the key. That's what I need to make my pictures look great. Or if I read it on a Google article, I thought, oh, well, I need to run out and I need to buy that. And the thing is, a lot of that is not true. There are 4 things that you need to invest in the beginning as a photographer. And we're gonna break those all down today on this episode. And then I'm gonna get into some of those novelty things that you think maybe you need, but you really don't need yet. All right, and if you're thinking, yes, this sounds like me, I'm totally a beginner, but I'm maybe a really beginner. I don't even know how to use this camera I have. Make sure that you have gone and downloaded my free gift to you. This is my manual mode handbook that is super helpful for those of you who have just gotten a camera that might not know what all of those settings mean. So make sure to go over to my website, Cozy Clicks. Go to cozyclicks.com/handbook and you can download that, have it sent to you today so that you can start understanding and learning a little more, actually a lot more about manual mode. So cozyclicks.com/handbook. Okay, so before we break down those 4 things that you actually really need to have as a beginner photographer, if you've been listening to the Stay Focused podcast for a while, or even if this is your first episode that you've been listening to, I would love it if you would take 1 or 2 seconds to head over to iTunes or Spotify, wherever you listen to podcasts, and hit that subscribe button. And then if you like it, if you find value from the show, if you would leave a rating and review, that would really mean a lot to me. And that helps the show to be seen and heard by other new photographers who are looking for support too. So I would appreciate if you took a second to go over there, hit subscribe, leave a quick rating and review for the show. All right, it's time for the countdown, right? The 4-thing countdown. So starting with number 1, the first and, one of the most important things that you need, and you can probably figure this out already, right? You need to have a camera. You can start learning photography and you can start learning things like light and composition when you're just using your phone. So if that's all you have right now, you can get started to a point. But if you are really looking to up-level your pictures and take them to that next level, you want to have either a DSLR or a mirrorless camera. Again, this camera doesn't have to be the top of the line newest model that is out there. It doesn't. In fact, going out and buying one of those cameras is probably going to make things more frustrating for you when you're just learning the camera. So starting with a beginner level, a starter level camera, and there are a lot of great choices that are out there for beginners like you. So my recommendation is always that Canon Rebel series. It's a DSLR series. I think right now the T7, maybe the T8 is the newest one that's out there. But there are others out there too. Okay. And with that said, you don't have to have the newest one in the starter level series either. If you see a great used camera that, pops up on a Facebook marketplace, or, you have a friend that you can borrow one from, or you want to rent one, you can totally do that too to see which one that you like the best. I'm going to actually link to the ones that I have. I have a couple in the Canon Rebel series that I really love. I'm going to link up to those in the show notes so that you can see the exact ones that I'm talking about. So if you're thinking about getting a camera, thinking about maybe even upgrading a camera, or wondering what it is I'm even talking about right now, you can actually see that, okay? But it is the Canon Rebel series. So when you are ready to really start getting serious and up level your pictures, if you don't have a camera yet, you want to get one, okay? All right. Number 2, the second thing that's really going to help you see results as a beginner photographer that you should invest in is a great prime lens. And there's only one that I'm going to recommend right here for beginners that is going to help you see the biggest improvements in the clarity, in the focus, in the sharpness of your images. And that lens is the 50mm 1.8. And there are lenses, that lens for Canon, for Nikon, for Sony. There are off-brand lenses for the 50mm 1.8. But the thing about this prime lens is that when you upgrade and you take that kit lens off and put this 50mm 1.8 on, it's like you got a pair of glasses. You're going to see so much more clarity in the pictures that you take. And the great thing about this lens is that it's not super pricey. So again, it's not like you're going out and investing $1,000, $2,000, $5,000. Usually this lens is in the $100 range-ish. Sometimes I know you can probably find deals too. Again, I will link to this in the show notes so you can see exactly the one I'm talking about. Your kit lens is fine. Okay, I don't want to say that you have to run out and buy the 50mm 1.8, especially right in the beginning. You want to kind of play around with your new camera a little bit, or one you've borrowed. So if you have the lens that came with the camera, that is totally fine, and you can still take great pictures. But once you get to the point where you're like, they need that clarity, they need that pop, something is missing. That 50mm 1.8 lens is probably going to get you to where you want to be. So kind of start thinking of investing in that too if you are a newer photographer. All right, number 3. We are just moving along today, aren't we? The third thing that you should invest in as a newer photographer. So we've got the camera, right? You found it from somewhere, beginner level, not a super high-end model. You've got your prime lens, 50mm 1.8 is the one I recommend. So you need a bag, right? So number 3 is your camera bag. You've got to have somewhere to put your gear because you're investing. It is expensive to a point, right? Like you're investing money in gear that needs to kind of be protected a little bit. Now, the thing about camera bags is there's a lot of choices out there, okay? There are a lot of really fancy bags out there. There are designer bags. There are stylish bags. There are leather bags. There are like front strap bags, backpacks type bags. Really, it doesn't matter. Whatever is your style and whatever works for you is the best one to go out and get. However, my recommendation is always using that backpack style backpack. That really helps when you're moving around, especially if you're working with kids or your own kids. That's going to help you so that everything stays together. Okay, and you're not worried about setting it down and where you put it before, or if you are a natural light photographer, or that's the light you're using most of the time, and you are out and about, you are out at a park or out on a hike, and you're taking pictures along the way, the backpack style backpack really helps you out with that. Okay, the last thing to get as a beginner photographer, this is number 4 on my list, but it actually probably should be number 1 because I think it's the most important, and a lot of people forget about this. Most people forget about this. The number 4 thing to get as a new photographer is education. Invest in you, invest in learning. It's going to take the frustration of the camera and photography away right away. I promise you this, you guys. So many moms, so many parents, so many grandmas, they get that first DSLR camera and then they try to hit or miss on their own. They try to play around with it and they find themselves very frustrated. Their pictures aren't in focus. They don't understand manual mode. Their pictures don't have that clarity that they want, and they don't understand why they can't figure it out on their own. You've already invested in all of this gear. Now invest in you, okay? And there's a lot of different learning paths for photography. I love education. I've been an educator and in education for such a long time. Even before I had the Cozy Clicks online photography school, I taught in preschool classrooms, elementary classrooms, in the college classrooms. So I love education and I understand the importance, and I want you to understand the importance of learning that camera too. So make sure you do that. I actually have a free masterclass that is going on now that I want to give you the opportunity to join. It's about 1 hour long. You can register for that on the Cozy Clicks online photography school website. Go to cozyclicks.com/framework and you have the opportunity to learn a little bit more about photography in that 1 hour free masterclass. So if you're listening to this right now and you're like, yeah, I do have to invest in me, I do have to figure out how to learn all of this gear that I got, make sure to join that. You really will get a lot of value and you will lose a lot of that frustration and gain so much more confidence when you invest in education. All right, you guys, those are the 4 things that you need to have as a beginner photographer. So start thinking about getting yourself a camera, that great prime lens, the 50mm 1.8, a backpack that is a style that works for you, and finally, and most importantly, investing in education and a program that aligns with you and connects with you so that you can get started right off the bat with taking great pictures. Now, remember I said in the beginning, there's a lot of things out there, a lot of novelty things that will always be thrown your way. You don't need to run out and buy all of those, okay? So you're gonna see things like lens filters and hoods and trinkets for the camera and tripods and white balance tools and reflectors and lighting equipment, and I could go on and on and on here. You're always going to find the next thing or the next new thing that you might feel like you need to run out and get. And I want to give you that permission, I guess, right now, or just ease your mind a little bit that just hold off on those things for right now. There will be a time and place where you find yourself maybe needing one of those other gadgets, but for right now, as a newer photographer, as a beginner, as someone who is just learning, don't stress yourself out with all of that other stuff that you see, okay? That's not going to make you better. That's not going to give you more confidence. That's not going to make your images look more in focus. Start with those 4 things that we just went over today. And I would love to know too. So if you follow me over on Instagram, my handle is @CozyClicks over there. I'd like to connect with you a little bit more. I know sometimes on the podcast, it seems like it's a one-way street, right? Because you can't always talk back to me. But if you're listening, let me know over on Instagram. Send me a DM or just write a comment on one of the last posts I made and just send a comment. Let me know you listened to the show today. Let me know what kind of camera you're using, or if you would like a recommendation for one that you're looking at getting. I'm happy to talk back with you in an actual conversation, right? So we can connect a little bit more that way. So please, 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 if you listened today, make sure to reach out and let me know if this resonated with you or I can help you in any way. Now, the Stay Focused podcast airs every Wednesday. I've got lots of great guests lined up in the future. So make sure to hit that subscribe button wherever you listen to podcasts the most so you don't miss any of the new episodes that are coming your way. Again, thank you so much for listening. And until next time, here's to staying in focus in camera and with your goals. Bye, you guys.